Well, hello. I'm Dr. Beckwith, and I'm teaching your leadership ethics course. And we're using the book, and this is your book, Business Ethics Now by Gillier. So, what I'm going to do is try to do as much lecture via online in these videos to try to help facilitate the learning process. So, let's start out talking about what's ethics. And it really ties to your chapter 1 of your book. When you think about ethics, it's the manner in which we live our lives according to a standard of right or wrong behaviors. For those that are believers, for us that are Christian, and as far as Christian integration is concerned, those right or wrongs are defined by our biblical principles, what's found in the Bible. So when you think about ethics, in both how we think and how we behave towards others and how we like them to think and behave towards us, that defines what ethics is. And this isn't business ethics, but that's what defines what ethics may be. There are factors that will influence the morality of ethics, and those factors include how we were raised, our Christianity, traditions and beliefs in our society, and the same goes for people in other societies. And because when you think of society is simply a structured community of people that are bound together by similar traditions and customs. Let's talk about understanding right and wrong. Moral standards, these are those principles by which judgments are made about what's good and what's bad behavior. And those moral judgments are based on our religion. For us, it goes back to Christianity. But it's also, because you're going to hear me drive home Christianity a lot, but it's also based on culture. Now, culture is defined as the norms, the routines, the values of a group, but it can be further defined as a set of attitudes, a set of beliefs and practices that characterize a group of individuals. So in addition to, those things, principles, our moral standards rather, in addition to religion affecting those and culture, there are philosophical beliefs that affect how we understand right and wrong. Those sources of beliefs come from our family, it comes from our friends, it comes from our ethnic background, again, religion. It also comes from school, and we're highly influenced by media, and we're influenced by those that are our personal role models. Morality is the collection of influences built over our lifetime. That's what morality is. So how should we live? Morals and values, these are a set of principles by which we aim to live our lives. So how should we live? We aim to live our lives based on a set of moral principles. There's a value system that's in place. That value system is a set of personal principles that's formalized into a certain code of behavior. There are certain things that are expected of us. There are intrinsic values and there's instrumental values. When you think about intrinsic values, it's a quality by which a value is a good thing in itself, and it's pursued for its own sake, whether anything comes from it or not. That's the pursuit of, that's the quality, that's the internal, the purpose, the what drives you, what you believe to be right or wrong. Instrumental values, though, this is the quality by which the pursuit of one value is a good way to reach another value. There are value conflicts. Impact on a person or a group's value system, it can be seen to the extent to which our daily lives are influenced by our values. Conflicts occur all the time when one is presented with a situation that places values in direct conflict with another. And I always say, well, you hear people, particularly now, talk about what's the greater good, or what's the best of, what's the lesser evil. But our personal value system is just that, it's personal to us. There are, when we talk about our personal value system, It's based on specific choices and responses that we choose to make towards an individual. That's what the personal value system is all about. So personal value system can drive what we define as what's the right thing. You've seen people that you just believe that, we all believe a certain thing is right. But our personal values, the way in which we see the world, things that have impacted us, things that have affected our filters, created filters for us, all of those things will impact our value system. That's why it's hard for me to say, there are certain things that are universal values, but until you've lived in another culture, if you experience some of the things other people have experienced, you don't know until you walked in someone else's shoes. So yeah, there are universal values, but then there's other things that we want to put on other people because it's our personal value system. And value systems are very personal. So when we talk about doing the right things, there are categories under which people classify ethics. There's the simple truth. Now, something that's not ever compromised is the truth, and that's the Word of God. There's the question of someone's personal character. We certainly classify ethics about, how people choose on a particular topic, or how they choose to vote, or how they choose to live, And then there's rules of appropriate individual behavior, and there's rules of appropriate behavior for a community or society. Generally, just think about it. The rules of appropriate individual behavior and for society, it's all a part of how either the media can shape us or our society can shape us. For us that are believers, what should be shaping us would be the Word of God, and that's based, I want to go to what we refer to as the golden rule, and as do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There's a problem with this rule. In diversity, we say do unto others as you would like them, as they would like you to do unto them. So let's talk about the golden rule. The problem with the rule is the assumption that others would follow the same principles as you do. And that's where we can get into some issues here. So let's talk about some ethical theories. There's virtue ethics, Unitarianism. We're going to talk Unitarianism. We're going to talk about those types of ethical theories. Let's talk about virtue ethics. There's this concept of living your life according to a commitment to achieve a clear goal, clear ideal. For instance, criticism. Societies can place different emphasis on different virtues. You see it all the time. So virtue ethics is thinking about the concept of living your life according to a commitment to achieve or the achievement of a clear ideal. Now, Unitarianism, this is an ethical issue. This is where ethical choices offer the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So here's the criticism to that. The idea, here's the criticism is this. The idea that the ends justify the means is a criticism. The end justifies the means. And then let's talk about universal ethics. I've already mentioned that there are ethics that we simply believe to be universal ethics. These are ethics that are taken out of duty and they're taken out of obligation to a purely moral ideal rather than based on the needs of a situation. Universal principles are seen to apply to everyone, everywhere, at all times. Now here's a criticism to that. Reverse of the weakness in ethics for the greater good. Ethical relativism is a concept that the traditions of your society, your personal opinions, and the circumstances of the present moment define your ethical principles. So when you think about ethical relativism, it implies to some degree there's a degree of flexibility as opposed to the strict rule. And it offers the comfort of being a part of the ethical majority in the community or the society. When ethical dilemmas occur when there's a situation in which there is no obvious right or wrong decision, rather it is right or right answer. Dilemmas occur, just like conflict occur, when the decision you must make requires you to make a right choice, knowing full well that you are A, leaving an equally right choice on the table, B, likely to suffer something bad as a result of that choice, C, contradicting a personal ethical principle in making that choice, D, abandoning an ethical value of your community or society and making that choice. How do you resolve these ethical issues? Sleep test ethics, you can, the ethics of intuition. You should rely on your personal insights, your feelings, and your instincts when you're faced with a difficult problem. So the process for solving an ethical problem is to always A, analyze the consequences, B, analyze the actions, and C, make a decision. Author DrBeckwith's questions are these when we talk about resolving ethical dilemmas. What are the facts? What can you guess about the facts? You don't know. What do the facts mean? And what does the problem look like through the eyes of the people that are involved? What will happen if you choose one thing rather than another? What do your feelings tell you? And what will you think of yourself if you decide one thing over another? And can you explain and can you justify your decision to others? So, in your book, in Chapter 1, Understanding Ethics, you have various case studies. For instance, the very first one on page 3 is frontline focus, doing the right thing, and it talks about Megan as a rental agent. You should kind of look through these case studies in addition to the ones that I've assigned to you and think through, just critically think through as a graduate student, the ethics, how you should live, the value conflicts, how doing the right thing, how the golden rule plays into what you might decide. I always challenge graduate students to also think about this, and that is looking at things through a Christian lens. We will look at things somewhat different than a lot of other people. However, don't ever forget that people are people, and people come, even Christians, come with a different mindset based on their frame of references. We can't expect all people to think the same. We can't expect all people to react the same. And what we may consider to be logical or rational may be insane to someone else, just as what they consider logical or rational may be insane to us. Either way, just think about ethics and think about how your values affect ethics. And those values are shaped by your culture. And that culture is made up of so many things. Your religion, it's made up of role models that have been in your life. It's made up of philosophies that you have. It's made up of how society has defined certain things. So just think in terms of that. And then think about how to resolve ethical dilemmas. You, like anybody else, will be faced with, should I do this or should I do that? And then two of your values go into conflict. And so how are you able to resolve the dilemma, the struggle that you have on the inside when you have to choose one over the other, not knowing the actual consequences of that decision? So thanks for listening in for this first round of video lectures. And I'll see you next time as we continue with the study of leadership ethics and how it's a key part of who the leader is and how the leader will be able to influence those folks that they lead. Thanks, and I'll see you later.